Hey there, people. Greetings. Wow. Chat lit up, didn't it? Alright, so Gregory, we got you already set up. Thank you in advance. I know it's been a while, but I'm sure we'll find a way to catch up here. So this is already prepaid, booked in advance. Thank you so much. And we've also got a booking from Tina in advance here. So anyone who's watching, I've got room for maybe one more reading, okay? Well, I can handle one more. We'll see how it goes. Hello, who's that? Roxana Castro. What is it? Oh, you're new here. Ow! All right, well, you'll find out in a few moments anyway, because I was going to just tell everybody anyway. So, all right. So you guys are good already. Let me get over here. Oh, what a day. What a crazy day. Let's see if we got this working. Nope, we don't. All right, give me a second here. I've got to recalibrate everything. Okay, let me just check everything. So I just finished another show and I've got to reset everything. Look, no, this is okay. Hold on, what's going on here? Okay, this gives people an idea. This is my website, TarotLumination.com. And if you need anything, you can get to me through TarotLumination.com, okay? I do global astrology, personal astrology, tarot readings and all that. You can scroll down and donate and make payments and schedule your readings, okay? So that's how that works. Now let's see if I can get to see you folks. There we are. Oh, okay, we are here. Okay, something went wrong. I don't know how I fixed it, but I fixed it and it's here. So good evening. This is our little hangout we've been doing for what, 7 years now or something? And is that Roxana Castro? We've been doing this about 7 years. Most of the people who come here, we've known each other for a long time. Half of them are already psychic readers or healers of alternative healing or artists or something like that. Maybe they do astrology and tarot and themselves and so on. And what I offer is these little live mini readings with tarot in public. It's a public setting here, so and it's by donation, and it's for people who want a little bit of, I don't know, mystical insight. Perhaps you've been trying to figure things out, maybe with friends or family or doctors and nurses, therapists, psychiatrists, other alternative healings, and you think, I don't know what to do now. What's next? This isn't working. What is this? This is what? TarotLumination? Global astrology? What's that? Personal astrology? Oh, I've heard of that. Tarot readings. Tarot. Oh, I've heard of that. Of course, you've heard of that. There's millions of tarot readers now all over the internet. You can have those big, corporate sites where you pay $60 a minute or something, and you can chat with someone in a room somewhere over in Siberia or Bolivia or somewhere like that. I'm over here in sunny Las Vegas, and I'm a real person. I'm not AI. This is not AI, okay? This is a real thing that we do here. And what I ask people to do is understand, or just let your imagination run wild. Imagine we are all magically transported on the TarotLumination space bus, and we landed in a beautiful place like New Zealand, for example, right up on part of the North Island, on one of the beach communities with our own plot of land. And we've got a beautiful little campsite, bunk rooms, picnic tables, massive campfire, and we can all hang around there and it becomes dusk and it's evening and it's beautiful. You can see all the stars in the universe, and you can hear the ocean lapping in the background. There's a breeze over in the mountain trees over there, and of course the fire is crackling. And I invite you to come around and gather, sit there, and especially bring in your invisible friends. That would be your lost pets on the other side, your loved ones from the other side, siblings, parents, grandparents, whoever it might be, friends, people you don't even know that you know on the other side. Your own personal invisible friends. I have mine, you have yours. Archangels, guardian angels, very specific angels, whatever you want to call them. Anyway, just picture all of that, and that's where we are now. Okay? Cool background. Yeah, that's one of my paintings. That was a very, very big painting. I'm very sad I had to let it go because of some very controversial things happening at that time in my life, and I felt the best thing to do is just give the painting away. I like to imagine that it's worth an absolute fortune right now. My friend Sherry helped me find the best place to receive the painting, and I had a bunch of other paintings going at the same time. And it went to a women's rescue foundation in the Valley up in Los Angeles. I used to live in LA, worked in movie business for like 20 years, and then I didn't. And I spent a lot of time up in the Valley, and so there's a women's rescue place over there for women who are trying to come out of trafficking worlds or something like that, or they've had a lot of issues with, let's say, partners or marriage, or so, and they're very scared for their lives. They have somewhere to go, and they are protected, they are safe, it's highly organized, it's directly connected with the local police and all that FBI stuff. So it went over there, and these paintings are now hanging in their hallways. Let's have a look. Anyway, so what you can do is, we're here on YouTube, all right? I've had a lot of contention over the years, as you know. If somebody does want to make a donation, do not please do the super chat right now. It's not good for me because it never gets to me. So if you put $100 in, fine, that might work, but anything less than $100, it's not going to see me. So don't even bother. If you want to make a donation and you want a reading, you basically go over here. I mean, most of you, everybody knows all this, but Roxana doesn't know, and there might be some others watching. I don't know. But anyway, you go to TarotLumination.com. You know, you can pull it up on another phone or a device, or it's a donation. It's by donation, okay, Roxano? And if you go to TarotLumination.com, it's a very straightforward thing. You just scroll down, click the donate button. It opens up a payment processor. You scroll down, you can click, you know, debit, credit card, and you just like online shopping, okay? Very simple. And then that arrives over here. It shows up in my windows, and it goes ta-ding, and you just bought yourself a mini reading. Yay! So anyway, that's how that works. Tina is already booked up and bought out, and same thing for Gregory. I owe Gregory from last week, so he's already on the board. I know from your notes, Gregory, it sounds like you were having a really bumpy time, and it was probably a hangover from the bumpy time that you had before the bumpy time you just had. Oh boy. Anyway, so Roxana, you could just sit back and watch and see what happens. Just imagine you're at the campfire. You just got here, and we're just going to do what we do and just hang out. You know, you can observe. All right, let's go over here for a minute. So I made an astrodoodle for tonight because I like to use these as a reference point and to kind of make things real with the world. To me, astrology is like sacred physics. It's just pure physics. It's, I use an ephemeris. This is a map, a chart of where all the planets are at any time in the solar system. It's the same data that they use for NASA and GeoWeather and AccuWeather and space travel, satellites, all of that stuff. Anyway, so I take this and I translate it into this. This is my version of an astrology chart for the time that is presented here. At this very moment in time, this is what the planets are doing, and then I do my interpretations. In my personal opinion, I just want to get this on record for tonight, we are going through some monumental history in terms of the astrology. It's sacred astrology at the most extremes you can imagine, and it's showing up on the world stage. I talk about a lot of that stuff on my other channel over on the other platform where I do the global astrology. This is all about personal stuff here. We're doing personal tarot readings in public. So this orange blob here, here, and here, they represent really, really acute, powerful planetary placements that indicate intense pressure on our species to evolve. We have to evolve or we perish. It's really simple. We evolve towards freedom, dignity, sovereignty of self, honesty, integrity, more and more and more, truth, love, compassion, and say goodbye to all the tyranny, the deprivation, the evil, the betrayal, the treacheries, the lies, the deception, the blackmail, war, all of that disgusting stuff. We need, as a species, in order to survive, we have to get beyond that. I don't know if you watch the statistics, but Homo sapiens as a species, we are brutally successful at our own self-destruction. So anyway. Hey, thanks folks for all the clicks and the links and everything. I guess you could do it straight out of the chat there. That's interesting. I wonder if that works. Anyway, so with the astrology here tonight, with Uranus, Neptune, Saturn, and Pluto in these very, very powerful, very, very critical positions, we're at a crossroads, a threshold, a pivotal moment in evolution of a species, not just African or Islamic or Asian or Caucasian. It's the whole of our species. Imagine being a newborn at this time. This has been building up for the last couple of years, but it's very acute right now. It's starting to fade very slowly as the Leo energy fizzles and the Mars energy is going to fizzle out in a few months, and a lot of this will be gone, but the triangle here will still be here. The evolutionary pressure is extreme. Just FYI. Okay? So, with that said, if you as an individual, as a human, part of the species, are going through parts of your life where you're feeling like there's something that needs to be addressed, but it might be very difficult to put into language or understand what it is, and how do you evolve? In other words, let's say your psychic, spiritual, emotional, soul frequencies are here. Because remember, we are just a bunch of physics. We're just oscillating bits of chemistry and electricity. Let's say it's here. And we know that happiness involves a deep inner experience, which means we have to resonate at higher frequencies, here, or here, or here, or here. The problem is a lot of people feel that their evolution and their happiness would be better attained from where they are right now and going deeper and deeper into the world of the 7 deadly sins. I saw that movie last night, 7. I can't remember all of them, but it's things like envy, greed, sloth, wrath, revenge, something like that. Anyway, people want to get their satisfaction from things like sex, money, power, alcohol, indiscriminate relationship dynamics, abuse, projecting your power over someone else through abuse, or denial of love, or something like that, something low frequency. The reason why is because it's easy to operate at the lower frequencies. But the more and more you tune into the lower frequencies, the more and more you're going to get sucked down the black hole of evil. Literally, like that. That would be represented tragically by the sad shadow side of Neptune over here, which is on full display for the whole world in terms of evil behavior. Classic examples. I probably better not talk about it because I'll get in trouble. My channel here is already in such trouble I can't afford any more, so I'm just going to shut up about that. But there are categories of people, populations of people who worship evil. They practice evil. That's their business model. That's their lifestyle. That's how they survive. They thrive. They grow. So, in terms of evolution, let's say this is the 0 point for human evolution. Below this, it's dark and evil. Above this, it's a challenge because you have to choose to resonate at higher frequencies, which can be work, spiritual work. People don't want to do that. They want to stay here. They do not want to evolve. They do not want to change. They want to get everything that they need and want and think they want in this life by staying right here or tapping into the lower frequencies. Oh, jeepers, I'm really, really pissed off and miserable. I'm going to go take it out on someone else. I'll feel great. Oh, I feel so pissed off about this and that. I'm just going to go get drunk and pissed and wallow in my own misery. Something like that. And then I'll feel better. And those have become very, very sophisticated, highly managed habits, practices. And we can take it to very advanced levels, like tuning into the big pharmaceuticals, the big agro, big media, big technology, all have their ways to seduce us to operating at lower frequencies at their benefit and your loss. So it's a perpetual war. We're here. We need to be here because this is where true peace, joy, love, and happiness is found. But that means having to change our behavior. Oh, no. I'm not going to do that. No. I'm not going to be... No, I'm just not going to do that. That would mean I'd have to sacrifice my ego. I'd have to sacrifice my belief systems. I'd have to compromise. Oh, no. I don't do that. I would have to do things like step out of my lethargy, my oblivion, my conceit, my arrogance, my whatever it is that's low frequency. Because what happens is people don't want to evolve. They want everything from here. Let's say some of us here tonight, oh, there they are. Thank you necessary. Pride, greed, lust, envy, gluttony, wrath, and sloth. Okay, those are the 7 deadly sins. Those places are where we can find immediate physical 3D satisfaction. And so long as we tap into those 7 deadly sins, which surround us all day, every day, in one form or another, we never evolve. So what happens is people stay there and they think, I want what they got. Okay, let's say there's some people up here that seem to be happy. They seem to have something that the others don't have. In America, for example, it would be, hint, hint, this. This gives us an extremely rare, privileged way of life in this country, if you understand it, if you're even aware that it exists. I am, and I feel very, very blessed. But there's billions of people on earth that don't have this. However, they want it. They want what we have. They would be operating here And there's some people who operate up here. Freedom, happiness, peace, harmony, and protecting all that. To go from here to here requires massive amounts of spiritual homework on yourself in order to, let's say, detoxify yourself from the pride, greed, lust, envy, gluttony, wrath, and sloth that populates our lives. Wow, Necessary, this is fantastic. Thank you. You're really helping me here. So in other words, how do we tune into, I'm just going to read them off the screen, okay? How do we tune into humility, charity, chastity, kindness, temperance, patience, diligence? Wow. And you can read for yourself the oppositions. That's incredible. Necessary, I am so honored to have your notes here. It's literally just blowing my mind because it fits perfectly into the messages that I'm trying to convey. And that's what we are being challenged to do. We're being challenged to evolve, to choose humility. It opposes pride. Choose charity. It opposes greed. Choose chastity. It's opposing lust. Choose kindness. It's opposing to envy. Choose temperance. Opposing gluttony. Choose patience. Opposing wrath. And diligence. Opposing sloth. Wow. 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 Jeepers, man. That seriously, that's kind of a big moment for me on my channel. And it's my 7 years of doing this, 8 years of doing this. I felt a lot of synchronicity happening with that, with the words you put on the screen, because it's a different thing for me to go blah, 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 blah here, and then to have it something very, very concise and compact and precise on the screen right there in the written word. The power of the written word. Wow. Mercury is direct right now. Remember, we're still living with Saturn, Neptune, and Pluto retrograde. So there's an awful lot of stuff that can go wrong, so it will go wrong on a global scale. So we're talking about the politicians, the empires, the big corporations, the big cultures. That's where we're seeing Saturn and Neptune and Pluto in the retrogrades. And I talk about that stuff on my other shows. But anyway, for tonight, that little astrodoodle I just showed you and the stories that I'm talking about that go with it, they apply to the whole world. They apply to the whole of our species. And that takes it right down to the individual. How is this all translating to you as the individual? Anyway, with our little magical world of tarot readings, we can get a tiny glimpse into that at the personal level. You got to reveal it to heal it. If you can't get the revealing from somewhere else, you can't get the revealing from drugs, alcohol, doctors, nurses, therapists, gymnasiums, cults, parties. I don't know, all the indulgences. Then it just becomes like an insatiable hole. You can never fill it. So when you think about love, love is as love does. Okay, love is an energy field that needs to be owned and activated. So you have to deliberately prime yourself through, like neuro-linguistic programming to become an instrument of the healing power of love. You invite it to come into your life. And then it enters you from above, kind of like a shower. And then it enters you and it fills up your body, your mind, your heart, and your soul. And you own that energy field. And now you have a duty, a responsibility, an obligation to share that outwards. So you effectively become a transceiver. You are receiving and transmitting energy simultaneously. That energy is the healing power of love. It's very, very simple. Simple is not easy. Anyway, so those are the things we kind of deal with on this channel. Anyway, so let's get into it. We've got 2 readings booked. Okay, let's get on with it. We're going to start with Gregory because he's been waiting almost a week. All right, I'm going to put all this stuff aside. We might need it, but at least I got the messages across as well as I could. Let's tuck this away. We got 2 readings tonight. If that's all, that's fine. That's fine, because I've had to do quite a bit of talking today, and I'm not gifted at the gab. I kind of tap out pretty quickly when it comes to my voice, so it might be just perfect having 2 readings. We'll see. So there's my wonderful markers. They're doing a fantastic job, but I'm going to have to get a new set soon. Oh, you booked one too. Oh, okay. Well, that's it. Okay, we got 3 bookings tonight, and that's it. Thank you very much. Hold on, let me get my marker. I didn't see that. I'm sorry, Necessary. Thanks for letting me know. There we go. Thank you. All right, we're going to start with Gregory. Oh, okay, I'll have a look. We'll get there soon, okay? Well, we'll get there when we get there. Let's put it that way. So, Tina, in the meantime, I know some of you like to chat in the chat while we're doing the readings when it's not your reading. But I'm sure we would all appreciate any updates on Sasha, Charlie, and Pax while you're at it. Life in New Mexico. Okay, we're going to use the golden deck tonight just for fun. Again, I feel very lucky with some of my decks because I've done thousands of readings, but the cards are still like brand new. I really don't get it. I get pretty beat up. Jody, what? What? What's that? Is he blocked? What? That's weird. I have no idea what's going on. I have no control. Wait a minute. Me loving below. What? I'm sorry, I don't understand that, Jody. I don't think Necessary was blocking. I think they would have told me. Looks like everybody's good. I can see you on the screen, Jody, so you're not blocked. Gregory, are you still here? Anyway, Gregory, we're going to do your reading now. If you want to check in, let me know. I know sometimes you watch them after the show, but here we go. All right, so that's it for tonight. We got 3 bookings. That's enough. That's all I can handle. Thank you for hanging out. Any newbies or visitors, people like to hang out and watch. Remember, we're all around the campfire. And in this situation, sometimes readings resonate above and beyond and outside the actual client themselves. Okay? For whatever reason, I don't know. Maybe it's just resonance. I think it's probably to do with resonance. I don't see any blocking there, Jody. You look. I can see you on the chat. Weird. Oh, okay. All right. Well, okay, I got to concentrate now. So, Gregory, you already know the routine. We've worked together many times. So we're just moving forward into the next chapter. Let's have a look. So what kind of messages do we have for Gregory tonight? A lot of you know Gregory in one form or another. But he has a history of being a champion for those who are not able to champion themselves. And sometimes that takes a toll, and you got to figure out, what about me? What about a chance for me? So sometimes that theme comes up. And it's, you know, it's another thing we used to experience a lot in the early days of TarotLumination. We attracted a lot of people who were really struggling with compassion. Call it like professional compassion. And I started to use the word compassion junkies, because it can be extremely satisfying to share and express compassion. But you can take it to the extreme where like you're overcompensating and and it almost becomes an excuse or a screen to avoid compassion towards the self. Because a lot of times people who are very compassionate are bringing out huge amounts of the healing power of love, and then neglecting themselves, and they end up drained and depleted, broken. It's not healthy. All right, Gregory. So it's really important to find a balance, especially with Saturn and Neptune the way they are right now. It's very, very difficult energy to handle. The energy of sovereignty. Neptune may dissolve any chance of sovereignty and selfhood and the right to be you. Saturn will bring punishment if we are not honoring ourselves and loving ourselves. Eventually Saturn will come back into Aries for about 3 years. Well, 2.5 or so. So it's a very, very tough thing. Saturn and Neptune are almost like canceling each other out. Saturn is holding us accountable to be our most sovereign, awesome selves possible. And if we don't, then we can experience suffering. It's just like being at school. You failed. It hurts. You have to go do the tests again. Neptune brings out the idealism of how amazing it would be to be your most amazing, awesome, sovereign self. But at the same time, if you're not able to operate at the super high frequencies of Neptune, it can backfire in such a way that you can end up being self-destructive. It's awful. It's a very, very difficult evolutionary chapter that we're going through here. It's affecting all of us one way or another, whether we like it or know it or not. All right, Gregory, brace yourself. Well, you don't have to brace yourself. Just get comfortable. Get comfortable, get cozy. So what kind of messages do we have here for Gregory tonight? Let's have a look. We're just going to do blind reading, okay? Because often that gives you the best scope, breadth, and depth. And who would have known? I don't do jumpers or flyers. I don't do reversals. I'm going to shuffle some more because I really just lost it. Okay? I don't have anybody blocked here. I'm not trying to block anybody here. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. Thank you, golden, beautiful deck. Magical, mystical wonders of tarot. It's really quite remarkable. All right, here's the situation. Here's the challenges. And here's how we're going to handle things going forward. And we're going to look at external influences. I often default to the astrology because that's universal. It affects everybody. But sometimes it gets quite personal. Let's have a look. So we got the Page of Cups here. Okay, my feeling right now is that with the way the astrology is and how this relates to you personally, Gregory, what we're looking at is an environment or situation where, please, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but you might be feeling very innocent, perhaps naive, perhaps like hoodwinked in some way that makes you feel like, I don't know. Sorry, I have to do this the old-fashioned way. When I'm seeing the Page of Cups there as a kind of a surrounding energy, the Cups, of course, is very, very loving, but there's a lot of innocence there. And what my feeling is that the Page of Cups is setting a very, very gentle kind of cushion environment for you to understand that because of your natural compassion, you have ended up like taking it to, I mean, it's all the best of intentions. It's like being a really nice kid who just wants the best for everyone and everything at all times. And when something horrible is happening, you might want to step in and intervene and help them. But you're at a point now where you're at a learning like, oh, it doesn't always work that way, because not everybody appreciates compassion or even wants it. And then you start to realize, like, well, what's the point of being compassionate? What's the point in me being me if I get kicked in the face all the time? It doesn't make any sense. Where's the balance? It doesn't make any sense at all. And what my feeling is with the Page of Cups, it puts you in a position where you feel like I'm just an innocent fucking child. Excuse my language. Sorry. I feel like an innocent kid who's getting beat up by life, people, my surroundings, my world, but it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't matter. Why is the world picking? Why is fate picking on me in this way? What am I supposed to learn out of all this? It feels to me like the energy of a distressed child. No insult, okay? Hello, Fluffles. I'm totally booked out. So that's the background. That's the sort of surrounding energy that I'm feeling, all right, Gregory? All right, let's have a look at the situation itself. So, again, more cups energy here. So you might be really feeling this at a very personal level with the astrology and how that condenses into your own personal life right now at this very moment. With the 8 of Cups, oh, Fluffles. Oh, that's 4 readings. I'm already booked up, Fluffles. I know. But of course, you know what I can do. I can do a little, I can work with you during the week. It's not a problem. I think we've done this before. All right, Gregory. So with the 8 of Cups here, my feeling is there's a bit of a heartbreak. It's not like where you're sitting a blubbery mess. It's just like there's heartache very, very, very deep inside, where you're looking at your life, your world, your whole experience as an epic journey, okay? I'm not talking about this lifetime, but lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes to get to this very singular moment in life where you realize that, wow, I am loving, I am loved. Oh yeah, really? Huh. Jesus, I wish I had better evidence. Because you are a very loving person by nature, okay? You have a vast, like, oversupply of compassion, and so you have a natural desire to share that. Like, it's just like a farmer with so much good food, they can't sell it all, so they just start giving it away. All right, Fluffles, no worry. I see your notes there. All right, so Gregory, my feeling is that it's not depression, it's not sadness, it's just like this realization. It's almost like, please don't feel insulted, but it feels like the innocence of childhood and the innocence of youth, where all of your best of intentions start to look like the world is just taking advantage of you. In other words, you're offering this and this and this, and you've brought this and this and this and this and this to others out of your natural nature to heal, to champion those who can't help themselves, to speak for those who can't speak for themselves. And yet, what about me? Where's the love for me? I don't understand it. There's supposed to be a formula. Be loving, be loved. But it doesn't feel like that. Okay? But life goes on. Okay? It almost feels like this is a very tough Saturn lesson. Like, you can't take this personally. Obviously, if this is very uncomfortable at the level of your heart, like if you're feeling heartbroken, betrayed, lost, literally like a little kid who got totally screwed over by people that he thought he could trust or, share some life. And yeah, there were good things that happened, but eventually, like, And so, like, where do you go? It feels also very lonely to me. It's like, where do you go? Like, why? What's the point in talking to mom and dad, for example? They'll think I'm insane. What's the point in talking to my friends, because they won't understand me when I'm talking about this stuff. So, all right, let's keep going. I will make a note there, okay, Fluffles? Give me a second here. I better catch this, Gregory, while I can, okay, Fluffles? Okay, we'll postpone to Sunday. Okay, I got the notes, so I'll put that on here, okay, Fluffles? We got it. So, I'm just going by the feel of the cards that I'm seeing so far. And I know over the last couple of weeks you shared a few notes with me about like these really upsetting things that are going on, but it feels to me that you're still dealing with the feeling of being upset and how it doesn't really make sense and how you don't really deserve it. From your opinion, from your perspective at least. And yet there's people who go off and behave in such a way that is effectively very either immature or unloving or unjust, just not fair. What's the challenges with all of this? Okay, to me it makes me feel like this is hitting you at the pit of your soul, and it's actually to the point where it's actually frightening for you. You're at this point in life where you've dealt with the ups and downs of this and that, and career, work, money, relationships, all of those things. But at this point of critical mass, which is happening to everybody, whether we like it or know it or not, these transits are happening to everybody. It's very, very tough, and to some degree it's very, very frightening. It also might be, because I think there's some Pisces energy involved here, Saturn is going to be retrograding into the Pisces energy, hitting the crisis degrees, 29 and a half, and so on. And that can be very, very frightening, because we just already lived through that several, 5-6 months ago. And it was very, very frightening for the world. We got to see a lot of evil exposed on the world stage. And nobody wants to go back there, but the retrogrades are taking us back there for review anyway. And so that can feel very, very frightening. In other words, I don't want to go there. I do not want to go there. I don't deserve to go there. Why would anybody want me to go there? Why should I go there? It doesn't make any sense. It's just not. No, I don't want to do that. And yet, life moves on because it has to. Here we go. How do we proceed? So, with a major card like this, it's liberation. It's all about liberation. What's that expression? You know my little song? And one of the lines in the song is, the only way out is through. It's almost like the universe is either in a very gentle or brutal or painful or some kind of way, it's taking you across and through a threshold. Okay? A threshold. An evolutionary threshold, which is frightening for everybody. You are here at this moment in time in terms of your spiritual evolution, your frequencies, your auras and all of that, but you are being challenged to go from here to here. And that same challenge is happening to everybody on Earth. Of course, it's a unique experience for each person. For you, the evolutionary pressure to go from here to here feels like what we're seeing here. A bit scary, a bit painful, especially at the level of the heart. And yet, we have to truly believe that ultimately this is for our good. And it's very hard to deal with tragedy. It's very hard to process grief, tragedy, failure, loss. That card's not here, but I feel that that's the background to what is out there, because it's happening to everybody. Being here and realizing that there's so much pain and suffering and ugliness and evil in the world, what are we going to do about it? Are you just going to look away and just stagnate and choose evolutionary tide pools? Or are you, or the species, human species, are we going to evolve? That's what's happening to you. But the process of the courage of living through this day by day, despite the pain and the suffering and the grief and the tragedy, is ultimately liberation. Liberation and freedom. Shaking off the bondage of the past, the expectations from the past, and allowing yourself to be liberated. But did you catch my words? Allowing yourself to be liberated by the, let's say, the geophysics, the planetary energy, the geomagnetism that is drawing everybody to higher evolution. We have to. It's an imperative. We have to evolve. So that's what's happening to you, and it's happening to you in your own specific way. You would know, of course, the acute details, but ultimately it leads to freedom. Yay! Might be scary to just go through it all. It's like people being reborn. It's incredible, isn't it? The imagery. People being reborn, coming out of their self-imposed coffins. Ba-ba-ba-ba. All right, thank you, Gregory. I have to put on some little tune here for you. It's a horrible process, having to surrender. Okay, let's have a look. Sorry, what am I doing here? Sorry. Give me a second. I got to prepare now for the next reading. let's see. Let me just check in with everybody just very briefly here. Oh, where am I? I hope I didn't click the wrong buttons. So many freaking buttons. Oh, okay. So, just want to get centered, okay? I don't know who's watching or who's not watching besides the folks in the chat, but if anyone else is watching, that's what we do here on our little Sunday nights. So, hope it makes sense. I hope you get some value out of it. Thank you very much for the donations. It's really, really important part of the channel. All right, so next up is Necessary. Necessary, I want to thank you directly. That was fantastic, the support there with the notes about the 7 deadly sins and their opposites. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. All right. Cards are well shuffled. Just want to have a personal, just get myself comfortable here. You know the routine necessary. Just gather around, get yourself comfortable and free of any like spiritual cobwebs, and then we'll just get on with things, okay? So what kind of messages do we have here for... Oh, no, wait a minute. You sent me some notes. Let me just do a little quickie bit of a background here. So please bear with me, people. I've got to do some background work. How am I going to do this? Sorry, I'm going to have to go off camera here for a bit. Go down, clicking around. Okay. Oh, you're there. Okay. All right. I see it. All right. Go over there. Clickety click. Clickety click. Clickety click. Okay. I see it. Okay. Let me make a note here so you can see that I see the notes. What we're looking for is, I'm just going to write it in tiny letters, okay? Advice for work regarding meetings, people, energy. Meetings, people, energy in the week ahead. Okay, I think I got the gist of it. I'll show you in just a second. All right. All right, so necessary. We're going to do a little note. We're going to do a mini reading here where the theme is advice for work. What's happening over the next week regarding meetings, people, and the overall energy. Okay? You got it, okay? See, everything looks like, by the way, folks watching, everything looks okay in terms of the technology here and the studio operations. So that part's all good. I see all the little green lights where they have to be over here to run the studio. But what happens after it leaves here, it has to go through the internet from here down to Florida, and then from Florida to the world. And from, actually, I don't know where they host their thing. I was thinking the other level. Actually, Google and YouTube has multiple mass servers across the world, but I think in America they tap into AWS and a couple of others. Anyway, okay. I know you can't read that from here, but I can see it, okay? So necessary, we've done this, so you know the routines. What kind of messages do we have here tonight for necessary regarding work in the week ahead? Especially with meetings, the people in the meetings, and the energy of the week ahead at work. All right, here we go. Bless this little deck. Bless every single little card. Bless all these donations and the clients and the visitors and the newbies and all of it. Bless the technology, the internet, the wires, electricity, the cameras, the lights. the microphones, everything. Here we go. Okay. Okay, we got it. Let's have a look. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle things going forward. And remember, this is going to represent some sort of what I call external influence in some form or another. Usually I default to the astrology. I'll just do a very quick flash here. This is what's happening right now. Critical mass, critical mass, critical mass, intense pressure on evolution for Homo sapiens, all the way down to countries, cultures, and then right the way down to the individual you. So what's that look like? Let's have a look. So we got the King of Pentacles. Oh, wow. My feeling is this. It's a really simple message necessary. You got the goods. You got what it takes. You are already an accredited master of the material world, which gives you a fabulous foundation to, let's say, travel with a bit of stability and security in the alternative universe, which is the stuff we can't really see. You know, things like the psychic world, the spiritual world, and all of that. So it's very, very lucky having functions in both realms. For a lot of people, they are very active in the spiritual realm to the point where they are psychically completely deranged and they don't know that they're in the spirit realm, and they might be described as insane. And other people are highly functional in the material world with either total oblivion or being totally oblivious of the spirit world, or deliberately oblivious of the spirit world because they lust after three-dimensional satisfaction. But you're lucky because you got both. My feeling here is the King of Pentacles is that you're actually radiating the aura of King of Pentacles, which would be the indication of mastery, supreme mastery over material existence, including money, stuff, people, how the world works on a three-dimensional level. No apologies. It takes a lot to earn this level of mastery. This would be happening over many, many, many lifetimes to get to this point where you can resonate and radiate this type of aura. Okay? And that's out there. This is a reflection. The way I see it, this is reflecting the universe. The external influence is a mirror, and it's showing this to you, that you're radiating the aura of mastery of three-dimensional matter. Okay? I'm not talking about someone else. I see this as you. Okay? As your energy being reflected back to you, and you're just dealing with people at that level. Okay? Where you are probably highly regarded and respected and valued, and you're in an environment where it's sort of reciprocal to certain degrees. All right, let's have a look. What's the situation itself? Okay, it looks like a bit of a struggle here because it looks... this is sort of what I was just talking about. The threshold between our three-dimensional world and the spirit world, where the humble, beautiful nature of spirit here is an indication that we have to at sometimes subdue our animal nature in order to function at higher levels, more loving frequencies, in order to maintain mastery and goodness on our earthly plane, because our earthly existence is not just this. Pretty much most members of our species are aware that there is this. There is some form of heaven, some form of divinity, some form of angelic presence, some form of divine beings that are out there guiding us, protecting us. These look to me like the energies of infinite supply of the healing power of love. And it's happening simultaneously. And of course, how do you manage those simultaneously? Well, in some ways, you're already an expert, okay? But it's a fine balance, because you are charged in the workplace, in a three-dimensional world, you're charged with operating at maximum efficiency at the three-dimensional plane. But at the same time, you're having to, at least inside yourself, maintain extremely high levels of spiritual integrity. And that can be hard to do, because the temptation is to abandon your spiritual integrity in order to tap into more and more things like power, money, and control, which resonates a lot more with the lower frequencies of our three-dimensional plane. Okay? All right, so let's have a look. What are the problems here? So it makes me feel like you're in a very good spot, but there is an inner challenge here. And it's about finding the right balance. For example, you might be in a workplace, in a meeting, and you might sense something from one of the participants that is out of frequency with the overall intentions and goals of the meeting itself. In other words, one of the people in the meeting, or they may have more, let's say, selfish or more personal objective desires and outcome that are being masked as outcomes for the group, for the company, for the whole. And if you're detecting that, you can't put it aside. It has to be brought into the conversation on a three-dimensional way without pointing a finger. In other words, very, very delicate diplomacy in the situation of meetings. Because I think the successful outcome of the meetings is going to be partly contingent on your ability to straddle both realms. Our three-dimensional world and our spirit world. Okay, what are the challenges here? Whoa, okay, so we've got the King of Wands here. So, at a personal level, if these meetings are very high level, and there's a lot riding on it, including money, integrity, profits, future, success, and things like that, and you're part of it, and people are looking at you for results, and you're looking at them for results, and it all has to work and has to coalesce in a corporate, work-like setting, then my feeling here with the King of Wands, there's this little tiny element of doubt, where like, oh my God, I'm operating at these levels here. I'm operating at these levels here. I'm really one of these. I am that amazing. I am that cool. I am that awesome. And people can somehow sense that, and they expect that, and they want that, and that has to be delivered on a three-dimensional plane. So it means for that to happen, I have to project leadership qualities. Leadership. Not just mastery of the material, but leadership. And then that becomes a little bit scary, because that means, wow, I have to project leadership in the context of a meeting. And leadership almost by definition implies that if I radiate, or when I radiate leadership energy, it means there are other people who are being led by me. And some people might not like that feeling. They may not even know it's happening in the context of the meeting, but you will know because of your hypersensitive nature. So the element of doubt, it might be there, like, oh my God, this is a lot of pressure. I don't know if I can, handle full leadership, let's say, obligations, duties, responsibilities. There's a lot of reasons why there's a lot more employees than employers, because employers and leaders are often charged with carrying huge amounts of responsibility for outcomes, especially in a corporate world. And a lot of people don't want that responsibility. They just want a nice paycheck, and then they go home. Being a leader means having to be in a very, very strong position of being willing to make decisions. That's the key ingredient of leadership. Making really, really tough decisions, knowing that making this decision might hurt this, or making this decision might hurt this. How do we bridge it all so that it's all mutually beneficial? Very, very difficult. It needs very strong leadership. How do you lead in such a way that people do not resent your leadership? Okay, let's proceed. Let's see, how do we go forward? Okay, with the Seven of Swords here, my feeling is the way to do this, the way to get through this week, is to be, basically, don't be scared of radiating leadership qualities. Don't be ashamed or apologize for your mastery of the three-dimensional realm. Don't be scared to tap into your deepest, most loving spiritual intuition for the corporate benevolence, for something that's good, so that it's good for everybody. You, your job, your partners, associates, leaders, underlings, and so on over the week ahead. And the key to all of that, okay, here's the key. It's allowing this energy to flow inside of you at a very acute level, in a very, let's say, subtle way, that allows you to detect bullshit. Okay? So in order to get through the week, you have to project leadership, strength, accuracy, let's say, respect, integrity, everything you could imagine from leadership. And don't apologize for it. And without really, let's say, pointing fingers at this point, or judging people, or actually having to call out bullshit. It's just being aware that there's bullshit. There's a little bit of treachery, betrayal, lies, deception, theft. Somewhere that is going to happen during the week. And that's part of your job, is to be able to detect that stuff and bring it into the conversation or the dynamics of the meeting, so that you can take full leadership and full control of a situation without necessarily hurting someone else's feelings. But, like I was talking earlier on my other show tonight, leaders have to work with the enemy. One leader from one corporation competing against one leader from another corporation, ultimately, they always have conversations in the background. Hey, what are you doing in your corporate? How the hell did you get a 10% lead over me in the last quarter? How the fuck did you do that? And the other guy says, ha! I knew you'd be asking me. I screwed you over, you stupid toss loser. Ha 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 ha. And don't worry, I'm your buddy, because I'm just doing the same thing as you. I just got there before you did. And then the other guy says, you frickin' asshole. I'm going to get you next time, all right? I'm going to frickin' get you. Okay, I'll see you at the golf club. I'll see you at the country club. I'll see you for polo on the weekend, okay? Yeah, got it? Okay, cool. So you got to be very, very, very careful for very, very subtle treachery, betrayal, lies, deception, blackmail, bullshit. And then you'll be fine. You just have to be aware of it and bring that into the processing, so that you are not a victim of this. You can't let yourself down. You can't let the team down. You can't let the corporate, you can't let any of it down. And even though the others may or may not be consciously looking for you to be this character in the meetings, it's still your job. If you have to openly call out bullshit, that's a whole other thing. I would be very, very careful. I would get counseling or have a secondary meeting before calling out any bullshit that you detect. The most important thing is to be aware that there's potential for bullshit. All right, thank you, necessary. I hope that helped you. Let me go over here. I got to shuffle up because we have one more reading. Hey, Diana. I'm all booked up. I'm pretty much at the end of the show, Diana. I'm doing a reading now for Tina. I've already got client Fluffles booked for next Sunday. So, anyway, of course you're welcome to hang out. It's nice to have company. The more the merrier, frankly. Oh, let me see that. That's funny. A funny saying that your past boss once told you. Don't let the facts get in the way of a good sale. Oh boy. That's funny. That's okay. Don't let the facts get in the way of a good sale. Oh, that's good. Hey, Diana, by the way, I want you to see this. Doopy-doo. So it's much easier. You just go over here, TarotLumination.com. Scroll down, you can donate. Scroll down, you can connect with me. Very easy. Very, very easy. TarotLumination.com for anybody who needs it, okay? It's always so much fun to do these readings. You never know what's going to come up. I mean, a lot of us here who are here, we've known each other for a long time, so there's a degree of familiarity and we can tap into that. But really, we're going blind each time. And I think that's the beauty. It really, really, it's like moving a shroud, a veil of blindness, and pulling it aside, and you can start to see things clearly, like the mist clears, you know? It's a wonderful feeling. All right, let's have a look. Okay, Tina, you are up. All right, let's have a look. Cards are very well shuffled. We're going to dive right in. I hope life's good over there. I know there have been some pretty crazy weather events in New Mexico. I was talking about some horrific weather events in Australia. There's also very bad things in China. On my other show tonight, I was talking about all the massive floods in eastern Australia. Thousands of animals never made it. Farm animals, wild animals, pets, even sanctuaries were destroyed. It's very sad, very tragic, but there's still a very, very active sanctuary and rescue community, and that's pretty much for the whole of Australia anyway. They love their animals. At least most of them do. All right, here we go. All right, what kind of messages do we have here for Tina tonight? Plus, Sasha, Charlie, and Pax, and the homestead. Here we go. Let's have a look. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. And here's how we're going to handle things going forward. Let's have a look at external influences here. And I'm going to bring out the chart again as a reference here. This is affecting all of us. Yeah, they got the koalas too. This is affecting all of us. How, where, that's a wholly different thing. It's personal. This could be happening to you anywhere in your chart. But it's happening to all of us as a species. It looks like this when you apply it to the species. Okay. Let's have a look. So we God. Okay. So we have the strength card here. So you might be in a kind of a situation where your world, like let's say you wake up in the morning, you walk around, do this, do that, you go out there, do this, hang out with the animals, ponder your life, take care of chores, take care of business, relax a little bit. You're just living your life, and you start to have these really like very unsettling feelings come into you. And it's the kind of stuff that you don't want to acknowledge. You don't want to deal with it. You just want to be happy, like the rest of us. I just want to be happy. The thing is about evolution, especially on the scale that's happening today, it's inevitable that it's going to squeeze and squeeze and squeeze and squeeze the body, the mind, the heart, and the soul to get to the point where it squeezes out that which needs to be revealed so that it can be healed. And that process of squeezing can be very uncomfortable, and we might try to resist, which just makes it worse. And so the dynamic is happening simultaneously. We all know we have to evolve. A lot of us don't want to. Some of us are eager to evolve, but it's scary and it's hard. Even if you want to, it can be scary and hard because it means you're going into the unknown. You're going to have to deliberately thwart, let's say, undermine your already naturalized instincts and behavior patterns that have become default behavior, and you're going to have to be reborn and reformat going forward. And that means going into the unknown, which means tapping into spirit, which is ultimately where we all end up anyway. But doing that in this lifetime now requires immense courage, strength, dignity, and ultimately claiming your sovereign self, your sovereign nature, so that you can be, let's say, the most awesome version of your most ferocious, beautiful, proud, magnificent self, okay? You don't want to be a victim of just raw reflex behavior. Like, oh, I don't like you, I'm going to punch you in the face. Oh, wow, that glass of wine felt good, I'm going to have 3 more. Oh, barf. It's a balancing act, because in the background, for people like you, Tina, where spirit is very big and powerful and active, and you're very compassionate, this part is just as important, and it's a battle. It's about coming to terms. It's a very, very gentle energy. It's very beautiful, but it's very powerful as well, okay? It's infinite. It's always there. And My feeling is at this very moment in life, at this moment, it might feel uncomfortable where you're having to deal with stuff that it's almost like there's no language for it at this point. I'm sorry, Tina. It's probably not very helpful for me to say that, but I feel like it's hard for you to even put into words what you're feeling that you know you need to feel and understand in your three-dimensional consciousness so that you actually can evolve to your higher frequencies, your better self. Okay? So, so that's actually pretty difficult. That's pretty difficult to deal with. Ooh, I would want to replay that again. Yeah, whatever I just said there, that needs to be repeated. I might want to rewind this later. Okay, to me it feels like deciphering the language, the environment, the world around you, where you're trying to understand in finite language, like, why is this happening? Why is that happening? Why is this not happening? Why is that not happening? What am I supposed to do about it? Am I the cause? Am I the victim? Am I the perpetrator? What's going on here? So that you're not wandering around in a spiritual fog. You're wandering around in a perfect divine expression, full clarity. Okay? Strength card, you have to move back to Houston. Wow. Really? Okay. Let's have a look. What's the situation? Okay, so if you're having to move back to Houston. Okay, it feels like this is a monster card here. This is the King of Cups. So the King of Cups is an indication of total mastery of love in such a way that it's understood. It's not just some little sentimental blobby thing like, oh, a box of chocolates, or here's a rose, or give me a hug, or this is mastery of the love that is the most difficult and painful to administer and project, because love is as love does. If you've read anything from this, now don't quote me, okay, because I'm not an expert, but I learned a lot about love from this. It's an old book. Okay? And there are certain components where you start to understand, literally, love is as love does. That means love in action. That means work. And in many situations, being loving is the hardest thing to do. Let's say it means, for example, taking care of someone that you don't like. Doing something profoundly compassionate and generous with someone who doesn't really deserve it. But you have to do it anyway because there's some sort of karmic obligation. Also, the other more, let's say, what's the word? Like a, God, hold on. Give me a second, Tina. To me, this also indicates tough love. Very, very, very tough love. Some form of, I don't know what that would be in detail. You'd have to translate that for yourself in your own life, in your world. But this would indicate to me at some level where you're going to have to, if it's something to do with moving to Houston, I don't know what, but if it's to administer and project tough love and be loving where it may not be deserved, and where the recipient of your mastery of love and compassion may not even be grateful or aware. Okay? So with Scott Peck, and the theme that I'm trying to tap into here, it's somewhere in the book. I haven't marked it because this is a new copy and I haven't got all my markings yet. But anyway, the point I'm trying to get to is that, let's say, like in the context of Dr. Peck, being loving, what would that look like? It means he might go out, he might only have 3 hours of sleep between one major surgery and the next surgery. And he's already exhausted. And then he has to tap into the healing power of love himself to be able to continue. He might have 5 patients in critical condition in the emergency room because he's a military frontline doctor. And he has to make very tough decisions because he only has that much time, that much medication, that much team and access and resources to be able to administer healing to these people. And he might find that there's 1 or 2 people that he already knows are not going to make it. So he has to prioritize these 3 over the other 2. And it's very, very tough, brutal decision because he might be tempted to prioritize these 2 over the other 3 and therefore deprive those 3. So it's very, very, very difficult energy to manage. In other words, the healing power of love might be a very, very painful process for you personally to administer and carry, but you have to do it anyway. Okay? So, yeah, it's mastery, and so going forward, if this is something, hello, Ivona. Okay. So it feels to me like this is a tough call, really, really tough call. And you're doing what you do because you have to do it. It's like the journey of evolution. It makes me feel it's almost taking you to your limits. But because you already have, a PhD, mastery, and a doctorate in this regard, you're going to be okay. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Could be a lot of work. The King of Cups was not born this way. It just didn't arrive like this. It takes, like the king of anything in the tarot, it takes many lifetimes to get to the point to achieve mastery, whether it's pentacles, cups, swords, or wands. So what's the challenge here? Whoa. With the Ace of Swords, the challenge might be dealing with some really harsh, brutal truth and reality that nobody wants to handle, nobody wants to acknowledge, no one wants to face, no one wants to deal with. And yet, that's what has to happen. Ouch. What's all this? So, I would understand that. I'm sure all of us at some point have had a parallel situation in our lives where we're having to do something that you really don't want to do, but you have to do it for love, for family, for your parents, or something like that. Wow. The thing is, Tina, none of this would be happening unless you could handle it. So you have your own journey as well as you go through this experience. But if what this journey is all about is other people and how you're going to relate with them, and you're moving to Houston accordingly, maybe Tina, granddaughter is going through gender issues at 10. She needs loving neutral. Oh my God. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Tina, it sounds like you're talking about an actual intervention, a parental intervention in order to protect a child, protect a grandchild, and so on and so on. Maybe you don't want to do it. Maybe they don't deserve it, but because it's family and it's love, you do it anyway. Whew, man. Let's have a look. Necessary is offering her own notes as well, so please acknowledge that. Let's have a look. How do we proceed here? Okay, Tina, proceed very, very carefully with your intentions. I would say one step at a time, in a very, okay, whatever's going on here, it sounds like it's going to require a massive intervention of some kind. Help, support, guidance, whatever that is, whatever that looks like. But it needs to be administered in a very, very thoughtful, methodical way. In other words, the worst thing you could do is just do a massive, I'm coming in for the rescue. Okay, you have to understand, with the Knight of Pentacles, it's not the King of Pentacles. We're dealing with limited resources here. The worst thing you could possibly do is deplete yourself in the process of intervention. Let's just say you are determined to proceed with intervention. You see it as part of your own spiritual journey, and it might be confusing, and you don't want to do it. Maybe they don't deserve, whatever it is. But let's say you go forward because of love. And then love is as love does. Love is a measurable thing. Love is quantifiable. It's very, very quantifiable thing. And that becomes very clear if you read this. In other words, Dr. Peck, he cannot operate as a high-level trauma surgeon in the front lines of a battlefield where arms are missing, limbs are missing, blood is gushing, people are dying, people are having seizures and shock and trauma. You can't do that 24/7. At some point, he has to go to bed. He has to sleep. He has to nurture himself and completely reconstitute himself so that he can go back. Okay? And so that becomes, on this worldly existence, that becomes a very measurable thing. In other words, you have to maintain your financial integrity, your health, your own time, your own space, your own transportation, your own communications, your own accommodations in such a way that you are not drained out. On the other hand, you have to, in order to honor your what looks like an intervention or a commitment here, you have to be willing to do the rescue operation, but in very, very, very carefully measured manners, and how that would look in terms of expressing love. Love is as love does. Love is a very measurable commodity. Okay, it's like an actual commodity. It has value, and it can be spent. It can be completely spent out to the point of self-destruction. Okay? That's not cool. That's not spiritually good. That's not what God wants for you or anybody. And so, just like the doctor, he has to give himself time out for sleep, nurture, food, rest, recover, and then go back and be loving again. Okay? There's only so many hours in the day, and there's only so much capacity to be an instrument of the healing power of love. Okay? Alright. So that's just, this looks like a bit of a warning. Okay, Tina? Sure, have an active physical material presence come in as a savior, but you're not allowed to deplete yourself in the process. You have to maintain this energy. You have to be willing, of course, to face what's happening and deal with it. It might be very, very difficult, and it might be a struggle for you, but ultimately this might feel like this is your calling, this is your own spiritual karma, and you know you have to deal with it somehow. So you deal with it, but in an extremely measured, practical, methodical, effective manner that actually works and has the potential to bring results. Okay. All right, thank you. I hope that kind of makes sense. Let's wrap this up. Hey Tina, I'm really glad you showed up. I really feel that this was a very important reading for you. And I know I haven't been here every week like I should, but sometimes I really get burned out, and it's sometimes very, very hard for me to do this stuff. And I have to admit it, because if I force it, then I'm actually really hurting myself, and I cannot afford to do that. Lucky for you, Tina, you're actually extremely strong in your own way. All right. Thank you, Tina. Lots of notes coming out from Necessary. Alright, let's put this over. I'm just going to leave this here tucked over there for now. That's all about love. It's a really, really, really good book. You wouldn't think it's a book about love, and it doesn't really portray it in that sense, but deep down, that's what it's about. It's a fantastic book. I've read a lot of these things over the years. I've been soaked up a lot of that stuff. This is one of the best of the very, very best. Thank you, TL. I have to move now while I can. Very important reading day. Okay. All right. Let's do this. And Fluffles, don't worry. Okay. All right. Thank you all. I'm going to check out pretty quickly here. You all have lives to live. I'd love to hang out. I'd love to just, I'd love to do this forever. Have our campfire, our wonderful community, and treat it like a little garden and just take care of ourselves and each other and so on. But again, time is this very valuable commodity. It ticks and it talks, and it eventually runs out, and then we have to do repeat, more and more lifetimes over and over again, so that we can evolve. All of us who are here tonight are witnessing and living through this spectacular moment in astrology, which is all about deepest soul evolution. It's on the global scale for all the cultures, the countries, the leaders, politicians, corporations, right down to the individual. Even animals are being affected by this. It's a beautiful, scary thing. Beautiful and scary all at the same time. Okay, thanks everybody. It's been fantastic, as usual. Love you guys. Thank you for your kindness and your generosity and donations. Oh, sorry, Jay. Well, I'm wrapping it up. Take care. You can reach, Jay, if you need to, you can reach me at TarotLumination.com. Let me just show that to everybody. Okay. So there, if you need me, Jay, that's, I do personal stuff. Okay, so TarotLumination.com, just go there and you'll figure it out. Okay, dokie. Meanwhile, farewell, my friends. Take care.